Hi everyone, it's Gretchen here, ready for a new layout class. Let me know when you've arrived so I know we're ready to go. We're going to do some coloring on a couple of these layouts, so if you have your colored pencils or markers ready, that'd be great. Or if you want to wait and color them later, that's fine too. I use colored pencils on mine. Colored pencils are usually my go-to because I like the control I can get with them. You can do light or dark colors. Just setting up my pencils. I just picked one of the layouts here to work on first. Careful when you open up your kit because there's lots of goodies in there. Sharon, you're in disguise? Incognito? Pretending you're somebody new? Does Sam know that you're using his login? You're now going to screw up all his analytics. Now he's going to start getting craft videos in his feed, and he's going to be like, "Mom, Mom, why is this stuff coming up in my feed? What did you do?" Okay, I think I am going to start coloring while we're waiting for Kathy here, because that's easy to catch up on. What's not easy is keeping both the layout in the frame and giving myself room to color. So this is this was the May stamp of the month. So thought it was pretty with all these flowers. And I'm just going to color these individual flowers with a pink. Actually, I colored all the flowers with the pink. And you could see this was one long stamp. And I just cut it into two different sections to use it in two different places on the layout. So I am just going to color all my pink little flowers. And I tend to go, when I'm coloring with colored pencils, I tend to go light on them, at least along first pass. I mean, sometimes I'll want a bolder color, and so then I go in, put a little more pressure and make it a little darker. But I always go lightly at first because you can always add more. But although colored pencils do erase a little bit, it is a little, you can never get rid of it completely. The color kind of stains the paper. But you could also use markers. Markers are, of course, going to give you a much bolder look. You can't, on these, use a paint, a watercolor paint, because I did not use a color fast ink to stamp the images. But there are color fast inks that you can use with watercolors, and I'm going to do that in an upcoming card class, my Chick class, which has the three little chickies in it. And I'm going to use markers and colored pencils and watercolors all to color them in, to show you different methods so that everybody can use whichever color implements they prefer, and they can maybe see some new options. They wanted to try something out. All right, I'm just going to put a little yellow in the center of this flower. I can see the number of people who are watching, but I can't see who they are, and I don't know if it's because it's me and Sharon, or if it's two people besides me. So if Kathy's there too. Yeah, you can color now too. If you want to color, or if you wanted to wait till later, that's fine too. I know it's so fascinating to watch me color. So, if you just want to be hypnotized and stare at me color and do it later, that's fine too. Or sometimes when I'm watching classes online, I intend to work along. But you just start staring at the screen, and before you know it, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I was actually supposed to be doing something and not just watching. It depends on how tired I am. I'm going to color some of these open leaves in. And I'm really going light on these leaves because this is it's called apple green. So it's a brighter green than the ink that I stamped with. So I don't really want that bright, that bright color showing through. I just want a little shading on the off-white cardstock to bring in a little color. Kind of just looks tinted. Now, I am not an expert at coloring by any means, but what I tend to do is, I'll color in the whole area, and then I'll try to decide where I want some, to darken the color, like it's shadowed, depending on where the light is coming from. And that I am certainly not an expert in, but I'm going to kind of darken these little lines in the petals, because if you look at a real flower, that's where they tend to be a little darker in the veins and around the bottom here. And then again, on the inside of these petals, I'll start an all over light shading of the color, and then I guess these are stamen. Make them a little darker shading. And sometimes, if I don't like the texture I got with the pencil, the one thing with colored pencils is that you can sometimes get a totally different look depending on the point of your pencil and how you're holding it and how you're coloring. Sometimes you'll get a lot of lines in it, and sometimes it'll be smoother. I know there's some chemicals you can use if you like a smoother look. So sometimes, like you just saw me there, I'll go over the whole area again sometimes to make it look a little smoother. But of course, that's also going to make it darker. So, and I will admit that sometimes, like if I really don't like it, if I think it's too dark, then I will erase it. And like I said, it does tint the paper, but sometimes it gives you erase it enough, and then you can add a little more shading to it. Maybe I should see if there's some videos of some people who have a lot more expertise in coloring than I do. I could probably learn some things. Pass them on. Taken a lot of art classes, but sometimes it's a matter of just being. Hi, Kathy. This is called Carmine Red, but it's a pinky color. It's kind of like a salmon color, I would say, almost. It's got a little of that peachy tone to it. It's not just a baby pink, if you understand what I'm trying to say. These are my Prismacolor colored pencils are my preferred pencils, and I've had these since my college days. So I might have to invest in a new set one of these days, or at least replace some of the pencils because there's a couple of colors in there that doesn't look like I've ever used, or certainly didn't use them a whole lot. But then obviously this one gets a little more use. I must do like a lot of flowers and whatnot because I don't, both of my pink colors are very, very short these days. It's funny because I think of myself more as a blue green person, but I have quite a few long blue ones, so I must not color a lot with the blue. Okay, so remember too that I mean, not that obviously it ever needs to be perfect, but these are layouts that are going to be under plastic, so they are going to look um, different under plastic than it would like on a card or something. All right, so I am just going to do a rough cut around these flowers first. And then I think I'm going to cut this one. So if you notice, I cut this big flower and then to the left, but then I cut this little branch off. So I'm gonna, okay, and on this one, I use these three, and so this guy doesn't get used on either piece. So I can easily cut up like that to separate them, and then I don't have to worry about cutting into the part of the image I want to use. And I'm just leaving a small border, about 1/8 of an inch or so, around these flowers. And I'm making sure to cut out this fern so that there aren't any pieces of him left behind. And I'm going to just kind of cut straight along the bottom. You could go in and see, I kept this one straight. Let me show you that you could go in, and if you wanted to, if you didn't like the straight or semi-straight line you cut, you could come in and cut into the empty space between each of these branches here. It's up to you. So, got that there. And again, I'm going to cut around these guys, making sure to remove all signs of that fern on the right. And if you have trouble cutting, well, first of all, sometimes it's easier to get rid of those big pieces that are hanging off. Try making sure that you're holding your scissors fairly still and move the paper into the path of the blades. as opposed to moving the scissors. Okay, and so this guy I'm going to cut off too. And again, sometimes it gets hard to get the scissors between those pieces. So I'm just cutting around those two little leaves. And again, since I kind of cut away the white spot spaces, you can cut it straight across, or I'm going to dip in a little bit here between each of the branches, like I did on the other piece. And there we go. I mean, it just really has to be a rough cut, and it looks great. You don't have to spend a ton of time being totally precise. I've got a little scrap in there. Yeah, Kathy, Sam has decided to get into the world of scrapbooking. He's given up Fortnite. I think maybe the Fortnite characters should start scrapbooking instead of killing each other. It would be a much friendlier game. Well, maybe it wouldn't be friendlier if they fought over their supplies. Maybe there's only like one special paper pack or a golden pair of scissors or something, and they're all fighting to win the ultimate scrapbooking layout. I mean, I think everybody would love that storyline, don't you? And really, it's all up to you about how detailed you want to get with your fussy cutting. You don't have to go in and out every little space. If you'd rather keep a bigger area, that's fine. Okay. Now I know you guys probably aren't done coloring and cutting yet, but I am gonna I'm gonna give you a minute to get out your papers for the kit, and I'm gonna move along on putting it together, so that way you can kind of spend your time coloring and cutting when you're ready. And what I'm going to do here is try to separate my pieces into two different piles for the two different pages, and kind of resting on the edge of my desk here, so hopefully I don't knock everything over. But in this green paper, the skinnier strip goes on the right and the thicker one goes on the left. And then your pieces should be relatively the same order as mine, unless they got shook up. So we've got one 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 photo mat on each side, and one 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 brown photo mat on each side. Oh, we're going to scrapbook in a cage now, Kathy. Oh, that should be fun. And then this brown strip goes on the left. And then we've got these pink pieces, and the squarer one goes on the right. And then the one, I don't know, it's 4.5 by 6.5, something like that. It's more rectangular, is on the left. This little wood strip is on the left. And the big wood panel is on the right. My bling. And then the smaller floral panel is on the left, and the larger floral panel is on the right. And we've got the Just Keep Smiling. On my sample, I stamped this directly on the background cardstock, but I didn't want to do that in case you didn't want to use it. So I went ahead and stamped it on a piece of cardstock for you. And then your favorite heart goes on the right, and the oval goes on the left. Now these two were Project Life cards. The 3 by 4 inch size, and this one I punched with a 2-inch circle punch, and this one I used my Cuddle Bug and a die cut Spellbinders oval die cut to cut that out. And we've got these cards that has the butterfly, and then the facets on the right, and we're still going to cut that, and be careful when we cut it because we're going to use an image from both sides. And then we have the diamond, which I may have cut out for you. I have this vague memory of actually cutting them out for you, but I didn't cut mine out, so that's interesting. And I'm just putting those aside since we're just cutting them. And then we've got one 3 by 3. Now these are temporary mats. You don't have to put them on, but I kind of put them on to give you an idea of where they can attach on your page. So these, if you attach them, you're just gonna use a temporary glue, and I'll remind you as we're doing it. Because you're going to remove it when you actually put the pictures on the page. You're going to remove them before you put your picture down. You're going to put these. You're going to put the picture on the mat, but these you're going to remove and put the picture in its place. That's what I'm trying to say. So hopefully you didn't just lose me there because my headset disconnected and reconnected, but. Okay, so we're going to work on the left page first. And let's see if I can figure out how to position this so you can see both pages at once. All right. So I'm going to get my ruler out so I can give you measurements of where everything gets attached. And I'm going to start with this green piece. And I'm going to add my adhesive on the back. And this piece is the same on the back and the front, so it doesn't matter. And I think that's a 1/2 inch. Yep. So you're going to put it, and honestly, these measurements are a guideline. If you don't want to be precise, this precise, you don't have to be this precise. But I'm going to, let's see if you can see it a little better this way. Okay, so I'm going to put it up a 1/2 inch from the bottom edge, but the right edge is going to be flush. So there you go. And then that little piece of wood grain, I'll put on that on next. Yes, I did cut the diamond. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. I thought I remember doing that, but for some reason I cut yours, but I didn't cut mine. That's okay. And the top is going to be right in line with the top of the green and right next to it. And it'll just be a little bit shorter. And then next I'm going to put on the floral panel. And you can measure this. It should be a 1/2 inch from the left edge, but really, yeah. Or you can eyeball it. And it's going to, the bottom edge is going to line up with the green and the wood grain. And the top should be approximately a 1/4 inch from the top edge too. And then the pink panel. And get put right in the corner here. So be right next to the green and the floral, which bring you a 1/2 inch from that end. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? And then we're going to take this brown, light brown, tan, khaki, whatever color you want to refer to it as, and that's going to be 1 inch from the left edge on top of the green and pink panels. And it should be the same exact height as your page, so 12 inches. And then we're going to add the 2 photo mats. And I mean, if you're someone who doesn't like to be constrained by having the photo mats on the page, you don't have to attach them now. If you're worried that you won't have the right size pictures, you can leave them for later. So basically on this one, I want to leave an equal border around the top, the left side, and the bottom. And that is about a 1/2 inch. But I'm pretty good at eyeballing that. So I'm going to look and see the top and the side and bottom. It's all about the same size border. So that's where I'm going to put it. And on this one, you're going to put it in the middle between the floral panel and this tan strip. So, centered on this pink. And you want it about, what is that, 3/4 of an inch? Yeah, 5/8. Yeah, about 1 inch. So you're going to go about 1 inch from the green piece there if you want to measure. But like I said, if you put it a little higher, a little lower, either way it's going to be fine. And if you want to add your Just Keep Smiling sentiment, you can add it right there. Or you could put it anywhere else too. Now we're going to use some foam tape. And I know some people don't like foam tape in their scrapbook, so you can put them on flat if you prefer. I'll never know. So I'm just cutting a couple of pieces of foam tape here. And to put on the back of my oval heart. And I'm going to put that on the side over here. It's about 3/8 of an inch from the right side. But basically, it's overlapping the strip. And then if you have, if you wanted to put down your temporary mat, and this is a 3x3, there are two things that I use. You can use removable Scotch tape, or this is a Elmer's washable school glue stick, but it's repositionable. That's important. You want it to be repositionable. And I don't put a ton on there. I usually just put a swipe in the center. And I'm going to line up the right edge with the right edge of the layout. And it really depends on where your heart is. But I suppose you could always attach this one first. It's a little more than an inch above. Actually, this one I attached my heart a little lower than on this one. So basically just, where you think it looks best. And like I said, you're going to take this off to put the picture on anyway, so you may have a different feeling when you put the picture on. And I'm going to find my flowers that I colored. So if you're not done coloring, you'll want to add these later. And I also attach these with foam tape. And these cross, so when you put foam tape on, you just don't want to put foam tape where the top one is going to be layered on top of the bottom one, because that'll give you 2 layers of thickness and it'll look crooked and it'll be thicker. So I tend to put, I don't use big pieces of foam tape on anything, but I tend to, I probably don't put quite as much on pieces that are going on a layout than I do pieces that are going on a card, because in a card it's going to get touched and put in an envelope, and you want it to be a little more secure. In a layout, it's going to be in the page, so it's going to be a little more protected. But if you feel better putting a lot of tape on, you are free to do so. So I'm just going to put this guy kind of in over the intersection of those three papers. And put these guys down there. And I'm going to cut out this butterfly from the corner of this card. And like I said before, when you cut it out, be careful. Don't cut into the rest of the card, because I am going to cut out one of these diamonds from the card, from the other side of the card. So just like we did on the flowers, leave a small border around the image. Some people like to cut right up to the edge, and that's fine too. I just happen to like the look of the border. Sometimes if you're not cutting precise, I mean, of course, using the edge helps you cut a little more precise, but I find sometimes when I cut on the edge, I veer off and then it looks a little weird. So for me, I think leaving the border is more forgiving, but you may feel differently. The other thing is, if you're cutting an image that has a black border, you can always help draw that black border back on if you do have a cutting incident. But obviously, something that's pale colored like this, once you cut it, there's no correcting it. But if you cut a border and you cut it too big, you could, like over here, you could cut a little more off if you felt better about that. Okay. Don't throw away your card. Save it for the other page. And this I attach with foam tape too. This page, I think, has a little more fussiness to it than the other pages, so I guess it's good I picked it first. And I just put this guy up in the corner here. Yes, it would be perfect for a wedding. And then these bling gems, which are so sparkly. Love them. And I just added a couple. That was a big one, the medium-sized one. And that's a smaller one up here. So there we go. Ooh. And I'm going to put some of my hair back because it's getting warm in here. Actually, I'll let you look at that for a minute. I think I'm going to go notch down the temperature on the air conditioner because I'm working so hard here, you know. Luckily, the controls are right here in my office. Did you color the little flowers in the middle too? Like these teeny tiny flowers? I did color those. Yeah. With the same color pink. I did not color the middle of these bigger flowers that were stamped in the green. I didn't color over them. Although that's a different technique. Okay. Good, I'm glad those are the ones you meant. Okay, I'm gonna move on to another page, the other page, because you could go back and look at that if you need more time, which I'm sure you do need more time to color because I kind of rushed through that. But okay, so this is what I put as the right page. And again, we're going to put the green paper down first. So this guy should be about 1/2 inch again. Just making sure. Making sure you can see my window. Yep. Okay, so it's again, this green is going to be flush to the left side of the 12 by 12 piece of cardstock and about 1/2 inch down from the top. And the wood grain is also going to be 1/2 inch from the top of the green, which makes it 1 inch from the top of the off-white cardstock. And it's going to be flush with the left-hand side of the 12 by 12 cardstock again. And then the next piece that goes down is the larger piece of floral. Which goes in the bottom right corner. Flush to both those edges. And then your pink piece, which is squarish, but it is a little taller than it is wide. And I don't know why, but I just overlapped them just, gosh, about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm trying to feel here because I can't actually see. About 1/8 of an inch. I don't know why I decided to do all the other ones flush and this one I overlapped, but I guess that's what moved me when I was designing the page. So you just have a little overlap on the right and you have a little overlap on the left there. And you can put them flush if you'd rather. It didn't make that much of a difference. So, and again, we've got the 2 photo mats. You know, sometimes when you're designing a page and then you go back and look at it, it's like, why did I do that? I don't know. Obviously, when I was trying to figure out where to put that piece of paper, for some reason, I thought it looked better overlapping. Okay, and this one's definitely going to overlap. And you're going to leave about 1/4 of an inch above the bottom of that pink paper. And you're a little over more than an inch onto the floral. But again, it doesn't matter if it's exactly the same as mine, because you don't have any, measurements on either side that have something that has to fit in that space. And the smaller photo mat is going to be about 1/2 inch from the right edge and about 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the green piece. And this guy, this glue, is a little worn out, so I'm just replacing that. So these guys, again, like the ones on the other page, are just temporary mats. So you only want to use temporary adhesive. And you'll notice you guys got nice, clean, brand new printer paper white on both sides, whereas I am reusing the same mats over and over again. And it's scrap paper. So you're going to be about, actually, I would move this. And you're going to be about 3/8 of an inch down from the top of the wood grain and 3/8 of an inch in from the edge. And basically, I mean, the 3/8 matters less than just having consistent spacing on those two sides. And then when you put this guy down, you want about the same amount of space between the two, or a little less even. This one I think looks better than this one because these three sides look about the same, which is probably what I was intending on. But these guys keep moving on me, so here we go. So everything else is just embellishments. And I am going to cut out my diamond since I already cut out your diamond. And when I cut out yours, I actually did it on the paper cutter. But if you really wanted to be precise about this cutting, you could also use your ruler and your X-Acto knife so you knew every side was precisely the same border size. But as you can tell, I wasn't worried about that. And I'm going to put that on with foam tape. Whoops. And on this one, I just overlap the corner a little bit, but I want to make sure there's no foam tape hitting the corner of this temporary mat because that would make it harder to get it off. So I'm just making sure my foam tape's not hitting that. Whenever you put an embellishment over a place where a photo is going to go, you want to be careful not to put adhesive on that spot because you want to be able to get that photo underneath. And we're going to go back to this Project Life card with the butterfly. And you can see, hopefully you can see when you look at this card that you can see some diamonds. And they are in different directions here. Let me see if I grab a couple of pieces of paper here, if I can show you. So I went for these ones that had this pink, darker pink center. So if you kind of look, if I mask this off, you will hopefully be able to see the diamond here. See? So that's what I cut out, and that's that diamond. And then there's another one down here. So that's that diamond. Now there are other ones here that have more blue in them, but there's a blue one here and a blue one here. And if you prefer, you could use those, but I went more for the pink since obviously we're using the pink layout. Hopefully you can see that. And these I did just cut on the line. The only thing you want to be careful about is you don't want to go too far past it because you don't want to cut into your other diamond there. And normally I would cut from the other direction, but I don't want to cut into that diamond. So I'm just going to cut this way, even though it's a little awkward. So there we go. We have a diamond. And see, here's the blue one, which actually can cut out and use or save without interfering with the other one you want to use because they're next to each other. So I will save that for next time. And I will cut out this other pink one. I know, we just hate to throw anything away, right? Okay, so that's the other one. And what do I still have? See, look at, I still have another one on this card that I can save for next time. Who knew that this little tiny card would have so many pieces on it? There's some partial ones there, but I'm not going to worry about them. Oh, good. You can see the diamond. You even found the diamond emoji. You're so talented. It must be because you're Sam, not Sharon. Because, you know, those youngins. Those youngins are good at the technology, unlike us old people. All right, so I'm just going to put one piece of foam tape on each of those diamonds, but I'm also going to get my favorite heart and put some foam tape on that guy too. Okay, so I'm going to put my favorite over here. And I'm going to put a diamond over here, just overlapping a little bit. And I'm going to put another diamond down here, overlapping just a little bit. And, oh, you know what? I stamped a third flower for you so you would have an extra one, but I didn't actually put it on the layout. So you're welcome to put it on the layout somewhere if you would like, or you can save it for something else. I know now you're mad at me if you had to color in a whole extra flower, so you better use it for something. All that work. And so on the back of this row of flowers, I'm putting more foam tape. And this goes in the bottom corner. And some bling. So I put the big one there, the small one down here, and the medium one there. So I'll let you just look at those for a minute. God, it took us a whole hour to do that. Wow. I am so bad at estimating how long things will take. That is my weakness. I should remember that if I ever have to, I don't know, that might not be a good one. That's not turning it into a positive like they tell you in those interviews. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to do this one next, which has more coloring, but I think I'm going to skip the coloring for now, unless you want to watch me color, which is fine. Just let me know if you'd rather watch me color or if you'd rather do it on your own. I'm going to make my piles again. Okay, so the giant piece of floral goes on the right. You get one strip of glitter paper for each. I'm going to put my coloring pieces to the right there. Your white photo mat goes on the right. I'm mixing up the order here. This is my bling. I'm going to put that aside for now too. Okay, so the skinniest strip of the chevron paper goes on the right. The other two go on the left. Sorry, I was confused for a minute because they looked like they were the wrong size. But they are not, I don't think. The square piece of tan paper goes on the right, along with these, the birds. And these also were Project Life cards that I cut into, I just cut to that shape. And there's another Project Life card, Cherish, and that goes on the left. Your 3 green squares go on the right. Your long green strip goes on the left. Your border strip of this kind of lacy, I guess, crocheted lace maybe, goes on the left, and your skinny strip of floral goes on the left. Hopefully you found all your pieces. I keep looking down to my right to find my tape gun, and I keep putting it on my left. Okay, so the first piece that's going to go down is your strip of floral. And that's going to go on the left side of the page, flush to the edge. And I just cut it into a strip. And I'm going to put these other pieces over it. But if you wanted to save paper, you could cut and just put a small piece here and a small piece here, and then you would save this piece, which is just going to be covered up anyway. Depends on how much paper you have. Sometimes I don't have, I'm running a little short on paper, so I try to stretch it by doing that. Okay, so your two pieces of brown and white chevron here, the skinnier one goes on the bottom. And we're going to work from the bottom up. Uh-oh. I'm running low on tape here, so it's harder to roll out. All right, and I'm going to measure that. And it is 1.5 inches from the bottom, and it should be the width of the space here. If I was smart, yeah. Yep, perfect. If it was a little longer, you could just snip off the edge. If it was a little short, which sometimes happens because I don't know if you guys noticed, but not all 12 by 12 is equal. And some of them are a little bigger and some of them are a little shorter. So you have all these 12 by 12 papers and you cut them and they don't always fit exactly. So I have been known, like if this was a little short, to shave a little tiny bit off the edge of the page. But it depends on what bugs you or not. It is an outrage, Sharon. I don't know if you're actually saying that what I'm talking about is an outrage. It's probably something different. You probably told me I was an outrage for whatever I said I was going to do or not do. Okay, so your strip goes next, and each of these pieces are going to go right next to the previous piece. So, see, this is one of the ones I was talking about. So, it's not quite the same. I mean, it's a sliver narrower than the pink background paper is. So I think it's a little less noticeable that it's short on the floral edge because this is a busy paper. So I kind of lined it up with this edge and put it a little short there. And honestly, I don't think anybody's going to notice. The bottom chevron, it is 1.5 inches from the bottom of the page, Kathy. You're welcome. Okay, so the next piece that goes on is your green. And again, that's going to go all the way across the whole page. As will your decorative strip here, the crocheted lace. And then we have one more piece of the chevron. And I'm putting that against the floral and against the lace. There you go. And I put the Cherish on again with foam tape. You know, I love my foam tape. Usually when I attach foam tape, I do the 4 corners in the middle, unless it's really big and you want more than one piece in the middle. Or it's a weird shape. And the weird shape is when I start putting more tape, because I want like those areas that kind of stick out to have the support. So I'm just going to put this at a slight angle, kind of in the middle of the page here. So the bottom corner is in the pink, the top corner is in the copper. And then when you get around to coloring your flowers, so you've got the three individual flowers, and again, I colored those with that same pink, and I attached them all with foam tape. So this is actually 2 layers of foam tape, which you may or may not want to do. My foam tape is pretty skinny though, so I'm not worried about that. And then this circle stamp up here, which is really pretty, I colored again the 3 big flowers in the pink and these 2 smaller flowers in the middle, and then these 4 kind of star-shaped flowers I colored in a yellow, and that's put on with foam tape too. And then you've got some sequins. So I'm not going to put these on because I want to put that on first, but I've got a sequin here and one here, and then one down here on the Cherish. So see the 2 up there and the one down there. So that's what that page will look like when it's all complete. And I want you to, I don't want you to rush through the coloring now, because it's fun to do if you take your time and you're not trying to rush through it. Oh, I just noticed that I did with a little heavier hand. You'll notice that there's these little kind of berries. Sorry, I gotta get under the camera right. On the end of some of these branches. So with a little heavier hand or a darker pencil, I did color over those to add a little color. Because berries are supposed to be reddish, right? And I didn't color the leaves because the leaves are already pretty solid. They weren't outlined, so I didn't add any colors to those. All right. And we've got the other page. And this is, we're going to show an example of not putting adhesive on certain spots because we have to stick pictures in there. And I always say to myself, don't put adhesive there. And then sometimes you forget. So we'll have to try to remember as we're going along here. So you're going to put this big piece of Floral down first. And it is the same height as the page. So I'm going to put it all the way to the right, and it should match up at the top of the bottom. And next is this, the skinnier chevron piece. Whoops, and there is the roll of tape. And this is going to be centered on the page, which is about 1.5 inches up from the bottom. So you can either eyeball it to center it top to bottom, or you can go ahead and measure and it goes flat against the, flush against the floral paper there. And then next goes the glitter paper. This glitter paper came from, by the way, the glitter paper came from Michael's. It was in a pad. There were several different colors, but most of the craft stores and a lot of craft lands have glitter paper these days. The other paper, decorative papers I used were American Crafts, and I got them at AC Moore before they closed, but I did notice that I think it was Joann's had some of them, so obviously they're still current papers. But if you wanted a couple more sheets, I have some. If you needed a coordinating layout or something. So we're at 3 inches above the bottom here. Which actually, if you don't want to measure it, you put your other piece, which is what I usually do when I'm doing a 2-page layout where a stripe goes across. What I'll do is I'll put them next to each other like I did with this one, but that's a sample. But this is your other page, and I'll put it right in line so I know it matches. And I had them like this, but I think I probably, no, it doesn't matter, but I think this is probably how I would put the 2 pages in my book. But they look good either way. Okay, so I'm going to put the white mat down next. Don't ever roll your adhesive gun over your good project, because then you roll crooked and you do that. Luckily, it didn't get on my paper. There's a pro tip for you. Don't make a mess of your project. Okay, so you're going to be about 1/2 inch from the right side, maybe 3/8, and above this glitter strip. And again, it's really just more, you want a consistent spacing on the side and the bottom. But again, since it's not really fitting in a space, you've got some flexibility there. All right, so the green mats, they overlap. So we don't want to put adhesive on the spot where they are overlapping, because when I have a picture, pretend these birds are my picture, and it's the full size, you want to still be able to slide that underneath there. So you don't want adhesive in this corner. So we're going to put the bottom one down first, and that one is just flat. So that can have adhesive on it without worry. And you're going to put this 2¼ inches from the edge of the floral paper and 1/2 inch up. Two and a quarter to the right of the floral, the edge of the floral paper, and 1/2 inch up from the bottom edge, if you want the precise measurements. And it's going to overlap the little glitter strip. Okay, so now this middle one goes down next. So you're good on the top and the left side, but you only want to go about halfway over on the bottom and a little more than halfway down, 3/4 the way down on the right. Now, when I say that, you're flipping it over. So you're okay on the top. You're okay on the right side of the back. You go halfway over on the bottom. That's a little more than halfway. I know I turned it. So, and then on the left side, you're going to go about 3/4 of the way down. So basically, you don't want glue in this bottom. When you're looking at the back side with the adhesive, you don't want adhesive in the bottom left corner. And you're going to be about 3/8 of an inch away from the edge of the floral paper, and about 1/4 inch below the glitter paper is where you're going to stick that down. And you're good, because now you can slide a photo under there. It'll be fine without adhesive there, but you could always add a little glue dot or a little dab of glue or something after you put the picture in if you think this is sticking up. But, and of course, if you have your pictures now, when you're creating your page, you could stick it there and be good. But if you're going to make the page like this, make sure you leave that spot. So the top one, it's going to be the same thing. When I flip it over, you're okay on the left side and the top. And you can go down almost all the way down the right side. But on the bottom, you can only have a little piece of adhesive there on the left side, which is over here. All of this, which is overlapping, you don't want adhesive here. And so you're going to overlap about 3/8 of an inch, and that's 3/4 of an inch. So it moves over to the right about 3/4 of an inch, and then down about 3/8 of an inch. And again, you can put your picture up there. And so then we're just going to attach these birds to the brown panel, tan panel, and you notice it's not equal spacing. So when you attach the birds down onto the brown, you want equal spacing at the top, the left, and the bottom, which will leave you a little extra space on the right there. Why? Because I thought it looked good that way. No other reason than that. Okay, and so this goes, are you tired of hearing measurements yet? Okay, so this goes, is going to be flush with the edge of the floral panel, the left side here, and about 3/4 of an inch down from the top. Or space between the top and this top mat. And we can put the sequins on this page. So there's going to be 3 on the other page, 3 on this. And I'm going to put 1 here. Remember when you do the sequins to kind of give it a little pressure on the back to make sure the adhesive comes up with the sequin. Put 1 there in the brown border, and then this one here kind of goes between the brown and the off-white paper there. So just like that. And I'll let you look for a minute. Let me get the other page so you can see them together. Everybody doing good? If you need me to slow down or throw out some more measurements at you, let me know. You know, I just love shouting out numbers. Clean up my tools here so I can find them when I need them. Actually, I'm less likely to find them when I clean them up, but you know, that's the way it is. Okay, so we're going to go on to the third one. And I was telling you about the papers. So all the decorative papers I bought were American Crafts brand. I used Project Life. Yes, they are real Project Life cards, real Project Life brand. I got them at, I'm blanking on the name of the store. What's the store that had, Tuesday Morning. I bought them a while ago. So, but they were a clear out thing. And, but the solid color cardstock I used, that was all close to my heart. So I know I used a variety here. So this one has some extra little pieces. So got some skinny strips, and obviously these little cutouts get hooked on everything. Those were a Spellbinders die I had. Let's see if I can get the rest of these out without making a mess. Okay. So I'm going to put all my leaves aside for now. And you've got a little baggie with, these were flower punches. The punches are by Marvy, and these I've had forever. Oh, not as long as the other ones. I want to say they're Marvy. Oh, sorry, they're Fiskars actually. And I got them, I think, at Joann's. And they come in handy. Like I often I just need a little something somewhere. So I use those all the time. Any kind of flower thing, little thing. I use flowers a lot, but okay. all these little pieces on top. Okay, so we've got a left page and a right page, and we've got the brick, and the wider one is going on the right, and the narrower one is going on the left. Sorry, I dropped something. Okay, and the floral, the wider one goes on the left and the narrower one goes on the right. And then this orangey strip, this wide one goes on the right, and this little skinny one goes on the left. Now, with your black strips, I think I gave myself an extra one. You will have two that are 12 inches. You get one on each page. Oh, no, I see what I did. The other four should be about the same length. I cut these out of scrap paper, so they might be different. But if you have a longer ones, they go on the right, and then you get two. I think I cut them all the same size. Two go on the left. And then, oh, wow. Did I forget to give you your white photo mats? Please tell me I just skipped them on mine and not on yours. You do have 3 temporary 3x3 squares, white paper, and those go on the right page here. But do you guys have your big photo mats? Because if I didn't include those, I'll send those to you. I'm hoping I just forgot to put them in my kit. Okay, good, Kathy. You have yours. So I assume if you have yours, Sharon has hers too. Okay. Your bird goes on your right, and then the 2 large Project Life cards go on the left along with this little strip, which this was on the opposite side of this card. So again, it's a use of both cards, but I cut it for you so you didn't have to figure that out. Okay. I will start assembling, and then I'll cut my white photo mats afterwards in case you need a second to catch up. All right, so we'll do the side first. And the large piece of the floral is going to go on first. And that will, it's 12 inches tall, so it'll line up at the top, the left, and the bottom. Okay, and then we've got the orange strip, and that goes flush next to the floral. And then we've got a black strip. Unless you want one of your 12-inch strips. And now you'll notice that the piece I gave you is a little wider than the piece I have in the sample. Not that you're seeing a lot of it here to tell. What I did was I slipped a little bit underneath. But if you like the wider look, you can keep the whole width. It's up to you. And I have skinny. It's 1/4 of an inch wide. You can. Cutting narrower, cutting 1/4 of an inch isn't easy, but cutting narrower, that is hard, which is why I usually cut them a little wider. And if you make it 1/4 of an inch, you can put 1/4 inch tape on it. This is 1/8 inch wide tape that I have, which is perfect for this kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is take the tape backing off. And I just need a little edge. And there are a couple different ways to do this. You can attach the black to the orange before you attach it to the page, which is what I did in the sample and probably should have done here, but I was trying to be clever and sometimes it just doesn't work. So, okay, I am of course it's stuck really well. It always sticks really well when you decide you want to take it back off. Okay, so this is why I was trying to avoid doing it this way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, and you could use a wider tape, obviously, in this spot. But what I'm going to do is run my tape, and I want to make sure I'm right at the edge. And the reason why I'm using this tape and not my tape runner is because I don't always get the tape runner right at the edge. But with this tape, I know I can. And it's better if you do this before you add tape to this piece. But I'm going to overlap this taped edge so that there's about 1/8 of an inch left showing. Hopefully you were able to do that before I sent you in the wrong direction. And now I'll attach it down. But like I said, you could, mine aren't exactly the same length. Well, they are the same length. I just didn't get it even. If you prefer that 1/4 inch width, that's fine too. I was just looking for a little accent, which is why I put that black in. All right, and you're going to do that same thing with the black and the brick. Now, your black pieces for the side should be a little longer than your brick pieces. I wasn't worried. I wanted to give you a little extra so that you would have the right length and you can just trim it off. It's easier than being short. So I put a strip of tape along each edge, and I'm going to take the tape backing off only one of them, and I'm going to lay my black strip down, and I'm going to put it so it's overlapping just a little bit. So again, I want like about 1/8 of an inch of that black showing. And then if you have excess, just snip it off. And then I will take the tape backing off the other strip. And again, I will attach it to the black strip. My piece was long enough to use only one strip, but I think yours are shorter, so you should have two. And again, snip it off. Oops. And then you would put this here. Now, your piece is going to be a little short. Mine is 2 here, but we're going to put the white photo mat on top of it, so that's why. So you are not doing anything wrong. So now I'm not as worried as being precisely on the edge, so I'm going to go back to my tape gun. And it's time for a new measurement. And we're going to attach that 2 1/4 inches from the bottom. And remember, we want to be flush with the right side. The space should be on the left. And I will let you continue with that. I'm going to cut myself my missing photo mats, which is going to take a little tiny bit of maneuvering because my computer's in the way. What I probably did was run out of a stack of white paper, and I said, oh, I'll cut mine later, and then I packed everything up and I forgot to cut mine. Do it all the time. Okay, so, oh good, Sharon has the mats too. Oh, Kathy is taking a potty break, so I am going to stop for a minute till she comes back because I don't want her to miss anything. There is, you could be behind from the buffering, Sharon, but you can also, there is a delay from when I talk and you hear me. And so there's often a delay between when you type something in the comments and then I see it. So, so it could be because of either of those things. But if you're having some buffering issues, that'll definitely do it too. But maybe this will give you a second to catch up. Or we can play a trick on Kathy and tell her when she comes back we're just done. The advantage to there being a little delay is when I do something like I just did where I took it apart and redid it a different way. You hopefully hadn't gotten to that part yet, so you didn't have to take it apart yourself. You had a couple extra people watching. Hello. Welcome to the class. Hope you're enjoying some scrapbooking. We're just taking a little break for a moment, which is why nothing is going on. We're gonna start back up in a minute, letting everybody take a short break and catch up. And then we're going to finish putting together this page and the coordinating page. Kathy, let me know when you're back. I'm just going to type that because if she's not back, she didn't hear me. Oh, there she is. She is back. Okay, so we're going to put the photo mats on next. And we'll put this one on first, and it is 1.5 inches from the bottom, and it's going to be flush with the edge of your brick paper here. There you go. And put the smaller one on next. It's for a 3x4 photo. You know, the other thing is, if you have more smaller photos, you could always, you don't have to put one photo on these photo mats. You can put a collage or two, 2, 3, a whole bunch. This is 7/8. Yeah. I know everybody loves eighth measurements. So, and 1/4 inch from the right. So, you just want to make sure you have room for this accent piece. So I'm putting it at 1/4 inch from the right, 7/8 inch from the bottom. You have a little bit of flexibility there if you don't want to be quite as precise. And then this one, I'm going to put about 3/8 inch above the bottom one. And again, it'll be about 1/4 inch from the right side here. Just want those nice straight line. And you put your strip down. And it's going to be at about 1/4 inch from the right edge of the mat. So it's off center, because off center often looks more interesting. And now we're going to put our 2 Project Life cards down. Oh, see? Let me see here. This overlaps, so you want to be careful with your adhesive again. So this one goes down fine, and I'm just going to put it 1/4 inch away from each of these mats, or really, kind of centered in this space. This one, you don't want adhesive on the right here because you want to be able to stick a picture in there. And it's not a huge overlap, but I'm just going to I'm going to get rid of that adhesive. And that's the joy of this kind of adhesive, that it's easy to do that. The other thing you can do is and hold that thought. I'm just going to put it in more so that it doesn't overlap that much, but that way you still have adhesive on the side. But if your adhesive doesn't come off as easily as mine does, one option would be, like, if you have some backing from sticker paper, from score tape, from a Xyron backing, you can stick it over that adhesive, and then once you put the picture in, you can take that backing off and stick the tape down. So this I'm just going to put right in the corner here, and it's going to overlap that a little, but I should have I used all my paper, but see, the adhesive should be far enough away now that you can put the picture in. And now we're going to use some of our little leaves here. And what I did on one of them was cut it, and I cut it right, get it over the white so you can see it, right between the two swirls on the stem. And I glued this down to the bottom edge here. So I'm just going to add a couple of dots, and really small dots because it's a small area, of liquid glue on the back of each of these leaves. And I'm not going to put it on the stem, because if I put it on the stem, it's going to overflow. I'm not going to close that because I'm going to use it again in a minute. And again, remember, these are in a protective plastic page, so they're not going to go anywhere. And I'm just going to hold that down for a minute. And I think this one I put a little farther to the left than this one, but whatever. And then I am going to take 2 of the little white flowers, and again, I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on the back. Okay, I don't want too much, but I want a little. And stick those down. Now you can use a glue stick or a glue pen, whatever you like better. I just found this was just easy for these little things. And this guy, I'm going to put it on top of some of those leaves there on the right. And I'm going to we're going to put liquid pearls on the center of these flowers, and I'm going to demonstrate that on the other page after we finish putting that together. So, so this other half that we cut off, I am going to cut off that swirl and those bottom 2 leaves. And just, well, no, sorry. I actually Well, you could do whatever you want. I think that looks good, so that's where I'm going to keep it for now. Even that one, even though that one only has 3. So, oh, you know what I did? I used the opposite sides of the leaves than I did in the sample, but it does not matter at all. So the point is to have a little decorative piece. It doesn't matter which one goes on which spot. So I'm going to put that on top of the card. And then I'm going to grab a small orange flower and a larger orange flower. And I should have given you a couple extra flowers, so if you lose one or if you wanted to add some extras, you are welcome to do so. So I put the bigger flower there with the leaf, and then I put the smaller one up here. And then we are going to put one more up here in the top corner. I don't know why I moved that, because you could see it perfectly fine, I'm sure. So this one I cut below the 2 swirls, so both swirls would be on the page. Not that yours has to be cut exactly like mine. And again, I think I cut the opposite side as I did on the sample. Okay, and I'm going to put this in the top corner here. I put mine down and then slid it, which is why I have some glue. If you could put it down precisely where you want it, if you have that talent, then you won't have the glue, but it's going to dry clear. And then we're going to add a little white flower. And I just like to hold it down just for a few seconds to make sure it sticks, because as you saw, there's not much adhesive on there. And there we go. And then, like I said, I'm going to demo those gold yellow centers on the other page. So, but otherwise we're done here. And all right. It probably helps if I move the one I'm working over to my right side. So again, we are going to play with little strips. So let's do it the way we know works instead of trying to take shortcuts. So we know shortcuts don't work, right? Sometimes. Not today, apparently. Okay, so we're going to use our orange strip. And we need our 12-inch long, skinny black strip. And I'm going to put my adhesive along one of the edges. Now you can use a wider adhesive for this. This strip won't cover it all up, but you're going to attach it to the page. So It doesn't matter if it's wider, it'll just be extra adhesive to stick to the page. I just had taken this out, so that's the one I used. So I'm going to put my black strip on my work surface, and I'm going to work this way where I can see better. And I'm going to leave about a an eighth of an inch. And again, if you left the 1/4 inch, if you use the full 1/4 inch on the other page, then use the 1/4 inch on this page too. Because you want them to look the same or be the same size. And now, like if you could even see some of the tape here, but if you used a wider tape, it would just be showing on the back, which is fine. And we're going to put this, it's 12 inches tall, so it will be line up with the top right and bottom edges. That color combination is so striking, isn't it? Not that it was my color combination, it was in the paper, so I can't take credit for that. It's not, you guys know I'm not an orange person, so it would not have necessarily occurred to me it was not in the paper, but I do enjoy when there is, you pick up a paper and you go, ooh, and it might not be your normal color, but it's nice to do something different once in a while. I don't know if this has a top and the bottom, but I like this side better. So you're going to, again, this is 12 inches and you're just going to put it right next to your black strip. Okay, so now we're going to add black strips to our brick piece again. And I got out my wider tape here just so I could show you. This is 1/4 inch wide tape. And, if you're really good with your glue runner and you can get it right next to the edge, I sometimes can, but other times I drive a little crazy. I don't know if it's a roll of tape or the way I hold it, but I just find it easier for if you really want precision to use this kind of tape instead. And that's Miracle tape, but score tape, all those kinds of tapes, it's the same thing. So I'm going to take the backing off of just one side, find another one of my black strips. And again, your strip should be a little longer than your brick. I made it a little longer so you wouldn't be short. And leave an eighth of an inch and trim off the excess. And repeat on the other side. So I don't know if you can see in the light. Oh, see, you can see that glare. That's tape that didn't get covered up, but it's just going to attach to your background page. And I like doing it this way because then you can really see. If you put it on this way, you can't see where your edge is to get it even. Unless you were to draw a pencil line. But that works too, if you prefer that. I probably shouldn't have said that because now I'm confusing you. Okay, so now we have our brick piece with our two skinny black borders. And this is another one of those spaces where you can measure, but you can also put your first page next to the spot. And that was my first sample. Let's use the one I'm actually going to put it with. And now, I'm not going to lie, your strips, unless you use it, they might be a little off. They might be a little different. But when you put them in the 2 pages, you have that, in your book, you're going to have that little separation. Nobody's going to notice, but you can line up your pages. Whoops. Oh, yeah. It helps to actually put adhesive on this back. That adhesive was exposed there on the sides, but that's not enough to actually attach it to the page. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay, so I'm lining it up, and there we go. And it should line up with your black strip there. So there you go. And go all the way across. And then we just have photo mats and embellishments. So we've got the 2 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 for the 4 by 6 photos, of course. You'll notice when I have a couple of similar items like this that I'll put adhesive on both of them at the same time because it saves me a little bit of time. Okay, so it's about 1.5 inches from the bottom and about 3/8 of an inch from the left side. You'll notice I use 3/8 of an inch a lot, and you'll be, well, why can't you just use 1/4 or 1/2? And I don't know. It's just because, sorry, that's not actually 1.5 inches. That's 1.5 inches. I'm sorry, it is 1.5 inches. I was not using 1.5 inches on my roller. Anyway, 3/8 of an inch, sometimes 1/4 of an inch is too small and 1/2 inch is too big. And 3/8 of an inch is just right. Call me Goldilocks. Oops, and I already put adhesive on my other mat, and I think this is about 1/2 inch above. Yep. So, and it's going to be right in line with the bottom one. There you go. And this little birdie, which is some easy spacing here because it goes flush to the bottom or to the top of the photo mat and to the floral paper there. Just stick it right in that spot. And now we're going to use our temporary glue stick, a repositionable glue stick, on our 3 little temporary mats here. And I centered these pretty much, but I will give you the measurement. It's about an inch and 1/8 from the bottom. And I centered it on the space, which again, you may have guessed, it's about 3/8 of an inch on either side. And then if you really want to be precise, now of course, these are temporary mats. They don't necessarily have to be precise because you're going to take them off and replace them with photos. So it's the photos you want to be precise. But I'll pretend I'm a precision crafter right now for you and measure again 1 inch and 1/8 from the top and center it on the orange. And then the third one, I just centered between the two. And if you want to mark, you'll see I have numbers on here. Well, maybe my focus isn't as great, but I'll put, if you don't remember, you can put 3 by 3 on each of these, so you know a 3x3 goes there and a 6x4 goes here. If you want to put those on, if that helps you, that can be useful. Okay, so we are going to add a few more of these leaves and flowers. So this one here is actually a full one. I'm going to put dots of glue on each of the leaves. I wish the swirls had a little more space because I would add glue there too, but okay, again, hold it down for a few seconds. Make sure it's not going to pop right back up. And then we're going to put one large white flower in the middle of that. And a small one above to the right, and another small one below to the left. Okay. So then we're going to put another one in this bottom corner here. And what I did was, so you can see I kept the swirls and I kept this full leaf past the swirl and part of this one. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice I cut that one off on the die, but it's okay because I'm going to cut those off. I'm going to put glue on all the leaves except these last three. And then I am going to position this so the last three leaves are not on the page. And only half of that one. The contrast between these two colors aren't that good. So you only have, so the three aren't on there at all, and that one is only halfway on. So here, let me show you. So it's hanging off there. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut the excess off so you're flush with the edge here. And these are going to flatten. They just need a minute. And then we're going to put one more partial one there at the top. And it looks like I kept one swirl on there. So again, I'm going to cut between the swirls. And I'm going to save that half because I can use it for something else, or if I wanted to add another one on the page. You could do like I just did and, just put the glue on the half of it, attach the half, and then, whoops, there's still enough glue there. and then trim it. Okay, so this leaf is, this one, it's just touching the mat there. Here I'm a little bit overlapping. I'm not worried about that because there isn't glue there, but I could always adjust that when I put the paper. I could just put the picture a little lower if your leaf comes down a little lower. Whoops. Do not rub on your swirl if it's not attached well with glue. I got some flowers flying at me, and the leaf just overlaps. Now you can leave that. Actually, I'm just going to leave that because it's going to fit in the page protector and it'll still be fine. But if it overlapped too much, you could just trim it like you did down here. Okay, and then we're going to add a few more flowers. So I'm going to add a big one down here. And we're going to add, my blobs of glue are a little bigger on this one. So I'm going to be gushing out a little bit more. It's okay. And then we're going to put a little one on top of the leaf there on the top. And there we go. All right, so for what I did not have a gem. You know that often in the center of my flowers, I like to put gems, but I did not have one that was an appropriate color that worked for me. So these are Ranger liquid pearls, and Close to My Heart has started selling these, but you can get them in other craft stores too. And I've never used them a lot in the past, but I think I'm going to start using them more because they're handy to have around if you don't have matching colored gems. So what you're going to do with this, and now a couple of warnings. If you're going to add these to your project, this is the last thing you're going to do. They didn't take that long to dry, but you want to be careful and you want to put them on, and then you want to put your page or project, whatever you're working on, aside in a safe place where you're not going to put something on top of it because it is going to take some time to dry. The bigger the pearl you create, the longer it'll take to dry. So be sure you do that. Also, once they are dry, you don't want to stack a lot of things on top of them. I think they're okay when they go in the page, but like I stack these pages on top of each other and then put some more heavy stuff on top, and they kind of stuck together because I don't think they were completely dry. So make sure they're completely dry and don't put heavy stuff on top of them. Once they're in your page protector, you should be better. So you're just going to squeeze. It's got the tiniest little opening. So you're just going to squeeze and you're going to create a little pearl. And then you lift up from the center. And it's going to look a little bit like a Hershey Kiss. But it's going to flatten out and dry more rounded. Let me see. Can you see? These are the dry ones. And I know it's not focusing in really well, but hopefully you can see how rounded that is. And it actually looks like a little pearl. Oh, hi, Mom. We're just finishing up here. I'm just demoing. I don't know what you've heard, but I'm demoing putting liquid pearls in the center of flowers. So I'm making a smaller one here. And again, I pull it up and it looks like a little Hershey Kiss. But yeah, you probably can't see it that well. But there's a little point there, but it is going to flatten out. Now, if you have something a little heavier, this is not very heavy, but you can do this dropping, and sometimes that'll help it flatten out a little. On these pages, I did not find that did any good. I think that's better with a card because it has a little more heft to it. But let me see if I can move my hand. I don't know if you saw those other ones. Okay, so I'm just creating, I'm not in the best position here because I'm sideways, but maybe it is a good position. But ooh, that one's a little bigger. But, you know, you pull straight up and you create that little point, and then it's going to flatten and dry. No, I've got more here. Now, the other thing you can do with these is you can actually make pearls to put on your project. So if you get a piece of, I think freezer paper will work, but if you get like the back of Xyron, back of the sticker paper, that slick surface, the back of the tape backing, you can actually make like just make a whole bunch of these. You know, like the button candies. You just make a whole ton of them, and once they are dry, you can actually peel them off of that sticker release paper or the freezer paper, the shiny side, of course, and then you can glue them onto your project like you would any other pearl or gem. So if you were working on something and you want to just make some up because like you're going to bring them to crops and you don't want to bring your liquid stuff, and you definitely don't want to bring your liquid stuff because it's not going to dry by the time you have to stack things up and put them in your bag to bring them home, you can make a whole bunch of them ahead of time and have them in your collection. So like, okay, so, you know, another thing, this is the plastic thing that the sequins come on. And I know I always cut it up and give you a little strip, but usually it's like a 2x3 inch piece of plastic that, you know, the whole piece comes on when you buy the package. If you emptied this out, save the plastic, and it's got that slick surface, and you can make a bunch of, I'll put them on here. Now, what did I say before? Don't work on your good project. Make a couple here. And you can make whatever size you want. You can make really big ones, make tiny ones. I guess I probably wouldn't make really tiny ones to glue on because then you got the problem of putting the glue on it. But now I have 3 here. And when those dry, I have pearls I can use on a project. So, so like I said, I'm gonna use this more on projects. And if you, I know it's kind of an issue for you, Sharon, because you're, you know, so far away, but if you guys wanted to try them before you bought them, not that one bottle is that expensive to experiment with, but if you wanted to try one, Kathy, you know, just let me know, and I'm happy to let you try it out and see how you like it. So don't put anything on top of them. All right, so I think we're good here. Does anybody have any questions before I sign off? The video, as soon as I end the video, it will upload to YouTube. So you can watch it again to catch up, you know, with the color. Once you color and cut out your pieces that we didn't do, you can watch that again. Let me give you another, I'll give you another close up here of the coloring on that one we didn't color, so that if you wanted to see that again, how I colored it. And those down there, which were just like the ones on the other page. I'll show you the other pages too, just because. Whoops. So we got that guy colored and cut out. And oh, I didn't actually glue my, just keep smiling down. That guy. And then those two. Okay, Mom just wanted to see. All right, so this was, I gotta be careful because my dots are wet. So that's one layout. And I've got two of each page now. So that's the other layout, or I don't know, whichever way you want to put it. And this is the third one. Oh my God, Kathy, the meaning of life. Scrapbooking, of course, right? Crafting in general. We wouldn't want to limit it to just scrapbooking because there's so many great crafts. Okay, and remind me, Kathy, the next time I see you, I will, bring a bottle of liquid pearls so you can try them out. And I guess that's it. So thank you so much for taking the class. And there's only one one mom, and I put it on top. So I should be good. I do have to move it now though, as I'm cleaning up, and put it in a safe spot. And I will see you guys again soon. Thanks so much. And you could always contact me if you have any questions. Bye. Oh, and hit the thumbs up button at the bottom of the screen, please. Thanks.